here on Live Now from Fox. And we want to get you some updates on just where we're at right now in the Trump classified documents case. His classified documents case may not be over for the former President Donald Trump, despite being dismissed earlier by Judge Cannon. That's because Judge Cannon did not rule on the merits of the case. Instead, she ruled that special counsel Jack Smith was not properly appointed to his job, and that opens up the option of an appeal by Smith and potentially another reversal in this ongoing legal saga. So we want to bring in our next guest here of this hour to give us more clarity on what this all means. We're joined by our friend here of Live Now from Fox, legal analyst Neama Rahmani. Neama, thanks so much for joining us on Live Now here today. And really, we want to break down what this timeline now could be in this case.
Well, Mike, thanks for having me as always. And as expected, Jack Smith appealed the dismissal to the 11th Circuit. And of course, the 11th Circuit has already reversed Judge Cannon twice in the Trump-related cases. So I think Smith has a good argument on appeal, which I'll get to in a minute. But as far as the timeline goes, Smith's brief, the opening brief, as it's called, is due August 27th. Then Trump's team has the opportunity to reply. Their brief is going to be due 30 days later. And then Smith can file a reply, which is an answer to that opposition 21 days later. But I can tell you that it's almost certain that any argument in this case, and certainly any decision, will be well after the November general election. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Of course, if Trump is reelected, he can't be prosecuted. The case has to be dismissed anyway. But if Kamala Harris or another Democrat wins, then the case may move forward.
And how surprised were you when this initially happened and this was the reason why the judge decided to dismiss the case? How surprised were you on that moment?
Mike, I was stunned. And I can tell you that it was a week ago on Monday, and I was at my alma mater, Harvard Law School, and I was with a lot of other professors who were similarly stunned. We all thought, and folks that have been following this case, law professors, legal analysts like myself, we thought that there was a good chance that Judge Cannon dismisses the case based on presidential immunity. But for her to rule that Smith's appointment was unconstitutional and violated the Appropriations Clause and the Appointments Clause of the Constitution, even though she said her ruling was limited to just this case, this affects special counsels in other cases. The same logic applies to Hunter Biden, for instance. Should his case be dismissed? What about the decades of special counsel prosecutions in this country? So it was really a fringe legal theory that she adopted, and I wouldn't be surprised if she were reversed by the 11th Circuit. And even in the unlikely scenario where the 11th Circuit affirms or agrees with her, then we have a circuit split. You have one circuit in the country that says the special counsel is unconstitutional. You have all these others that say it's not. So the case will almost certainly end up before the U.S. Supreme Court. And there, I think Justice Thomas has indicated that the appointment might be invalid, but I don't think the other justices would agree with this.
Yeah, it's just so interesting just to see how it's all playing out. And now, ultimately, like you said earlier, there's no way that this now all gets straightened out before the election here. So the timeline, it's really going to be looking at if Trump wins, it'll be, out. If not, it can proceed.
No question. And Trump's best defense has always been to win and to regain control of the White House. If he does, all of his criminal problems really go away, not just there in Florida, but obviously in Washington, D.C. in the election fraud case, and even Fulton County, Georgia in that case, even though that case really has its own issues with respect to Fani Willis and whether she should stay on. I think the only case that may remain is the New York hush money case, although he's making the same argument there. But, in that particular case, a lot of the conduct took place when Trump was a candidate or was president-elect. So I think whether it's immunity, whether it's dismissal because he's a sitting president, I think that's the one case that Trump will still have problems with. But the rest, if he wins, his cases are gone. They're going to be dismissed.
And lastly, I'm just thinking of Hunter Biden as well. And could he claim and, have his lawyers try to say, look, the special counsel, we want, they were not put in there the way that Trump was as well? I mean, is that something that they could even talk about?
Absolutely, they can, and they already have. So it's a little bit different in Hunter Biden's case. I think the argument can certainly be made in the California case. That's going to be the tax crimes case that's set to go to trial in September. So the argument that Judge Cannon accepted was this: because Jack Smith was not appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate, his appointment was improper. And we know that senior officers of the United States have to go through that appointment. Folks like the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, or even the U.S. Attorney in each individual district. The special counsel, of course, is not appointed by the president. He or she is appointed by the Attorney General. Now, David Weiss, who's prosecuting the Hunter Biden case, is a little unique. He was actually appointed by Trump, confirmed by the Senate. It was kept on by Joe Biden because he was investigating his son. So arguably, the Delaware gun prosecution was proper because Weiss was the U.S. Attorney of Delaware, but he didn't have jurisdiction over a tax case in California. He could only prosecute that as special counsel. In fact, the U.S. Attorney here in L.A., where I live, Martin Estrada, rejected the case. So I know Hunter Biden's lawyers are raising it in both areas. I think it's a better argument in California than it is in Delaware because of the nature of the special counsel in that case, U.S. Attorney David Weiss.
All right, Neama Rahmani, thanks so much for joining us on Live Now from Fox, breaking down and giving us the latest updates here on this classified documents case. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. Have a great weekend.
You as well.